So if you've been watching, I've given you a few options for pistols when it comes to concealed carry and self-defense. Today I want to give you another option when it comes to self-defense, because maybe some of you out there are not allowed to carry a pistol, emotionally can't handle the ramifications of defending yourself with a pistol, or you just can't afford it. It's pretty expensive to get into after you get the training and buy the pistol and all that. So today I want to give you a cheap but definitely not a bad option when it comes to self-defense, and that is pepper spray. Pepper spray can be used in many ways and can definitely be a part of your everyday carry system if you want it to be. I use it in my everyday carry system as another option before getting to the gun. Obviously, as a concealed carry permit holder, you have the responsibility to actually avoid using your gun, to de-escalate the situation and get away if you can. But as you know, and as you've heard in the news or heard in different stories of personal accounts where people did have to use their gun, it's not always an option to run away or retreat. But you can put some more options in front of the gun, such as pepper spray. Maybe your situation doesn't deem you justified to use that gun, but you could easily use the pepper spray, which would allow you to retreat from the situation and get away. So that's something, that's an idea. That's how I use it in my everyday carry system, just as another layer and another option before getting to the gun. Maybe for some of you out there that maybe can't handle the emotional ramifications of using a gun for self-defense, this is another option for you as well. You don't have to have a gun with you. I mean, pepper spray definitely doesn't replace the gun, but it can give you another chance to get away or out of a situation. Also, pepper spray is good for some situations where you're by law not allowed to carry a gun, but you can carry pepper spray. Now, pepper spray isn't legal in all situations, and that'll have to be left up to the individual to look into those laws. I'm not a lawyer by any means, so I cannot tell you where you can and cannot legally carry pepper spray. You have to look into those laws yourself. But pepper spray can be carried in most situations where a gun may not be able to be carried. So, why Fox pepper spray, you say? Well, when I was doing research on pepper spray, I came across Fox, and from what I've heard from some law enforcement people, or some law enforcement officers, they say that this is pretty much the best stuff out there, and it's the most effective. It is the most effective because from my research, it's the hottest pepper spray on the market. Most pepper sprays that you can buy out there are only about 2 million Scoville heat units. The Scoville heat unit rating is based on how much capsaicin is in your pepper spray. Capsaicin is the ingredient in chili peppers that gives it the spiciness and that makes the burning sensation when you would eat a chili pepper, or when it comes into contact with any of your mucous membranes. So pure capsaicin has a Scoville heat unit rating of 15 million to 16 million heat units. So they call this SHU. That stands for Scoville heat units. And this particular pepper spray made by Fox is rated at 5.3 million Scoville heat units. And so that falls just under, most of your law enforcement pepper sprays are about 2 million Scoville heat units. So this is even hotter than your basic law enforcement pepper spray. Now, they do call this the law enforcement formula, so maybe this is an upgrade to that. I don't know. I also say this because it is cheap. A lot of the stuff out there you'll find is reasonably priced. I think I bought this on defensedevices.com. I'll annotate that. And I got it for like 13 or 14 bucks for this 2-ounce spring flip-top canister. I'll talk about that more later. So it's a cheap option. So, you know, if you want to have it, just to have it, and then, you know, if you need it, it's there for you to deploy on an attacker, whatever. All you're going to do is make somebody have a bad day. You're not going to kill anybody. You're not going to have to go to jail for using it. You're basically just going to distract your attacker with a lot of pain. I think on the ad on defensedevices.com, they say that it's like bobbing for apples in boiling oil. I can't vouch for that, and I someday hope maybe I can find somebody that will let me test it on them. If that happens, I will definitely bring that to you, so stay tuned for that. So more about the technical specs of this particular product. They do this, like I said, I'll talk about this one I have, and I'll talk about other pepper sprays that they have as well. This is a 2-ounce spring-loaded flip-top unit, and this one is in heavy stream. Now, they do offer this in what they call their medium cone fog spray pattern, and they actually recommend the cone fog units for civilian carry, but I'll have to say that I don't agree with that. When it comes to pepper spray, you're going to have to you're going to have to be aware of where the wind is. If you spray the pepper spray into the wind, it's just going to blow back into your face and disable you rather than maybe your attacker. And I feel that the cone fog pattern, because it's much more aerated than the stream pattern, that it would be more affected by the wind. So I got the stream pattern because I definitely don't think it would be affected by the wind as much, and because you get more range out of the stream pattern. The stream pattern will give you about 19 foot of spray range, and I think the more distance that you can have, the better. So that's about 7 yards of distance that the spray will shoot. The cone pattern only gives you about 15 feet, and like I said, it's a lot more aerated, and I feel like it'll be affected by the wind more. I'm not exactly sure why they suggest the cone fog. Maybe because you don't have to be precise with your aiming. I don't know. But I think that might be a bad idea, because most civilians who carry this pepper spray aren't going to train, and that's the next point that I want to hit on, is training with this pepper spray, knowing what it's going to do when you pull it out, when you actually use it. And on their website, you know, they do have a disclaimer where they claim that the unit is prone to failure, but it's less than a fraction of 1%. But they do suggest that you test it. Most of these units come with enough aerosol formula in them that you can test spray them one time, and then they'll be ready to use when you need it. And then you'll definitely know that it's going to work. If you just buy it and never use it, you know, how do you know it's ever going to work? But with that, they suggest that you do take a cotton swab and some alcohol and clean this nozzle off and clean off any pepper spray that may have gotten on the bottle, because if you just put it back in your pocket, get it on your fingers, put your fingers in your face or in your eyes, it's not going to be a pleasant experience. And you may have to contact me and tell me how that went. So, most of your pepper sprays will have a shelf life, and what that means is how long the aerosol is effective inside the canister. Fox says they guarantee their unit for 3 years, and what you want to do when you get your unit is check the production date, which is up here. I don't know if you can see that, but it'll have a number. Mine says 11/15/11, and that is the production date of this particular canister. So what they say is they guarantee it for 3 years, but they recommend that you replace it in 2 years. So where I got mine from was defensedevices.com. I'll annotate that and link it. And they seemed to be pretty up on their product as far as the expiration date goes. I know I had an incident a little while back with a Taser C2 that I was interested in, and the whole thing was expired because I bought it from a vendor other than Taser International. So just a few words about that. But like I said, this is the 2-ounce unit. It is 4 inches high, 1 inch and 3/8 in diameter, and it will give you approximately 18.5 seconds of burst spray, short bursts. They also have a 3-ounce model, which is a little bit taller. It's 4 3/4 of an inch high, same diameter, and it'll give you 24 to 28 seconds of burst spray. And lastly, in this flip top design, they have a 4-ounce canister that is 5 3/4 inches high, 1.5 inches in diameter, and will give you 32 to 36 seconds worth of pepper spray in a burst pattern. And this is the heavy stream. They actually said it'll go 17 to 20 feet, and the cone fog pattern only goes 12 to 15 feet. So, just to give you some specifications on this particular model, I'll tell you why I got this model. They do offer a keychain model that's a little bit smaller, and you know, obviously, as the name implies, fits on your keychain. The keychain model, if you go to their website, foxlabs.com, you'll see that it has, the red trigger on it. You have to slide over with your thumb and then press down. I talked to the two Fox Labs to see if this trigger was spring-loaded, and they said that it was not. So my fear was that, okay, I get this canister, put it in my pocket, and for some reason the switch, goes over, and it goes off in my pocket. Now I got pepper spray all over my hands and all over everything. So I don't really, I didn't really feel comfortable with that. This has the spring-loaded flip top on it. So you have to move this out of the way, but that's not a big deal because, you just stick your thumb in there, it flips up, and now you're ready to deploy your pepper spray. So I feel like that's a better option to have in your pocket because you have this cover that protects the button and it's not going to go off. Plus, you have more pepper spray. If you have multiple assailants, most of the time there's 2 or 3 bad guys. If they're going to, try to jump you in some fashion, now you have enough pepper spray to disable them all and get away to safety. With the keychain, you only get about 10.5 seconds, which is a long time. If you count to 10 real slow, you'll see that's a pretty long time. But I would rather have 20 seconds, and the safety of this flip top in my pocket, you know what I mean? Now, it's not as convenient because you can't put it on your keychain, but I don't think it's a big deal. Like I said before, some training tips. Definitely, they're so cheap, you can buy 2. I bought 3, 1 for me, 1 for my wife, and then 1 to train on. They're only like $13 a piece. So get 2 of them. Use the one to get familiar with how it works, no matter, whatever model you buy. And use it to train, see how it sprays, see how far it goes, just get familiar with the unit. And then you have another one. You can test fire this one just to make sure it works, and you'll be ready to go when and if you have somebody attack you. And another thing with that is if you do carry this, you should integrate it into your everyday carry system. Know where it's going to be at so that if something happens, you can just instinctively go grab it, whatever pocket it's in, have it facing the right direction, so you can just go and deploy it in a manner that is just second nature. So practice a couple times a week. If you really think you're going to be in a situation where you're going to need to use it, maybe you work out in the city, maybe you're going downtown at night if you have to. So if you think that there's a high chance that you may have to use it, practice with it beforehand, so that if something does go down, you can grab it, spray, and get away to safety. That's the Fox pepper spray. I'm gonna after this, I'm gonna go outside and spray it for you guys so you can see how it works. See that your stream is going to be visible. This will actually be a first time for me spraying it, so we'll do a little bit of learning together. So I'm outside now, and I'm just going to give you a few impressions, and myself a few impressions. This is the first time I've ever test fired this, so we're going to learn together today. This is my bad guy, and obviously he's mad because he's going to have a pretty bad day. So I'm about 12 feet away from my target, and so we'll see what happens. That's a pretty good well, that worked pretty good. It's a pretty heavy red stream you can see. This is also has ultraviolet dye in it, so if law enforcement needs to identify the individual that you sprayed, they can with that UV dye. But I think you did pretty good. Thanks for watching.